The Warden Helmet. After dropping a Warden's heart from killing a T5 Rev and crafting it with some iron, diamonds, and rotten flesh, you can craft the most powerful helmet outside of dungeons. Or you can just spend 200-ish million coins on the auction house. Either works. To repeat what I just said, the Warden Helmet is the strongest damage helmet outside dungeons. So, let me back my claim up with a quick breakdown of the Warden Helmet and its uses. Welcome to the best review on the Warden Helmet. Okay, there really isn't much to the helmet, so let's blitz this breakdown. The first thing you'll see is that this helmet is the coolest looking armored piece in the game. And then the next thing you'll see is that this helmet comes with a base stat of 300 health and 100 defense, which is actually kind of nice. Anyways, to talk about the real meat and potatoes on this thing, the helmet has a passive ability called Brute Force, which halves your speed, but grants you plus 20% base weapon damage for every 25 speed. So, let's talk about that a bit more. Your speed in the game maxes out at 400. Unless you have a Black Cat equipped, but we'll talk about that in a second. Anyways, with a God Pot, you'll easily have 400 speed. And I won't bore you with the math, but after your speed gets halved, you're going to see a plus 160% base weapon damage. There isn't even another helmet that comes close to that. Well, I guess a 5-star Infernal Crimson helmet with some level of dominance will start to outdamage the helmet, but we'll also talk about that in a second. Anyways, now that we've very quickly broken this helmet down, let's talk about some of its uses. Alright, for starters, a tragic con to this helmet is that you cannot dungeonize it, so it really isn't too great in dungeons. And because you can't dungeonize it, any diamond head will outperform it. So, that leaves it for it to be exclusively used outside of dungeons. Even more specifically, for Slayer, and even more so, for Melee Slayer. And the Wither Goggles are still far superior for right-click mage. So, the Slayer item sees the best use against Slayer mobs, who would have thought, and random cases of smacking mobs. But, despite its limited use, you'll do Slayer enough times to warrant owning the helmet, and besides, you probably can't defeat T4 Blaze without the helmet anyway, so I'd still say this helmet is definitely required and should be a part of your SB journey. At this point, I've given you a breakdown on the actual helmet and its usefulness, so if you want, you can either skip to the end or hear some of my miscellaneous thoughts. Either works. Alright, for Reforges, I would recommend either Renowned for an increase in magic find, or to use Ancient to really juice out damage on this thing. Next, I want to squash a misconception really quickly. Alright, it's time to elaborate on the Black Cat. Sure, the Black Cat can give you 100 speed, which would translate to an extra plus 40% base weapon damage. However, that's not really worth it. Any damage pet will still outclass this. And I really want to emphasize that this is a Slayer item to be used against Slayer mobs. And of course, I can't dismiss the fact that you're going to just smack things on occasion outside of dungeons. So, with that, this helmet is the best damage helmet for outside of dungeons. However, I can't deny that a 5-star Infernal Crimson helmet with dominance on it will begin to outdamage a Warden helmet, and it'll have none of the speed nerfs. However, I wouldn't really recommend that for anyone either though. Making an Infernal piece is already really expensive, even without the 5 extra stars on top of that, and then you need to pay for dominance. So, unless you're super rich and super insane, go for it. If you're not, please just get a Warden helmet. And that's all I got. If you liked this type of review or had any questions, let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to adhere to any requests or respond to questions. And I plan on making reviews on just about every item in this game, so if you want, check those out as I upload them. And with that, this review is officially over.